If you think the opioids epidemic is just plaguing dirty little corners of poor communities, or that what some drug addict does to himself doesn't affect you, you need to stop living under a rock. From Albany County.
This is everywhere now. This is in middle class, upper class, it's in suburban neighborhoods, it's in rural neighborhoods.
To Saratoga County.
It's a major problem. And I'm telling the residents of Saratoga County, we do have a problem.
Opioids are driving up crime rates, straining law enforcement and medical resources, and taking lives.
Yeah, I was stealing to support my drug addiction.
25-year-old Asia Saglambini of Rotterdam is doing time at Albany County Jail. This young woman, seemingly sweet and genuine in her prison jumpsuit, had plans to be a nurse until drugs took over her life, which she hopes to get back. Asia's addiction started in high school when she and a friend were introduced to heroin. They used it every day.
Oh my gosh, it's so easy. It's easier to find heroin on the streets than it is to find pot.
That kind of easy access is also a problem at Shaker High in Latham, one that's getting worse.
We've had students overdose, and we've had students that were barely conscious, and had to be taken to the emergency room by ambulance, and that's happened more than once.
Stephen Hollick is a student assistance counselor. He says on a daily basis, kids are walking the halls with drugs in their pockets.
These drugs are coming from drug dealers. Drug dealers are getting large quantities of these drugs, which are legal prescription drugs, but they're selling them just like they sell heroin and marijuana.
Our youngsters are still experimenting. They're still thinking they're invincible, that nothing's going to happen to them.
Jennifer Vitkus of the Addiction Care Center of Albany says some users, as young as 8 or 9 years old, are getting opiates from mom and dad's medicine cabinet, or just misusing their own prescriptions for pain relief from sports or other injuries.
Such prescriptions often serve as a gentle introduction to addiction. Wanting that high turns into needing that high, and a willingness to do anything to get it.
It really is. Our larcenies are up, burglaries are up. They're looking for that monetary, looking for money or looking for things that they can go and pawn off to get the money to buy the drugs.
We would initially say that probably 20% of our 650 inmates, give or take, are in here for drugs. There's probably another 20 to 30% that are in here for indirect drug charges, which means you got caught roaming through a parking lot looking to steal a GPS off of a dashboard. You smash and grab, something to that effect to feed your habit.
Sheriffs Zerlo and Apple agree. Prison is not the answer here. There needs to be a more holistic approach to addressing the epidemic, one that treats the social, physical, and emotional aspects, and will help people like Asia break the cycle of addiction.
So I don't want to go back to the way I was before.
Dr. Edward Apicella is a pain management expert, and he's very clear about limiting the use of narcotics to relieve pain.
30 days should not be prescribed for acute pain or for post-op pain.
7 days max, says Dr. Apicella, because for some people, 30 days is all it takes to get hooked. Opioids act on a specific receptor in our brain.
The receptors change, and what you end up with is a narcotic or an opioid that is actually worsening the pain instead of getting it better.
So before an opioid is prescribed for long-term use, Apicella says other options should be tried, including non-narcotic analgesics, exercise, physical therapy, acupuncture, antidepressants and anticonvulsant drugs, behavior modification interventions. Too often, he says, doctors not schooled in pain management write opioid prescriptions inappropriately, a big part of how we got into this opioid crisis. In 1996, the Veterans Administration, along with the Joint Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Organization, JCAHO, and the American Pain Society introduced the phrase pain as the fifth vital sign. The other vitals, blood pressure, heart and respiratory rates, and temperature. Doctors were encouraged to treat pain, but pain is a symptom that can't objectively be measured. The result of treating pain, Apicella says, skyrocketing opioid use. Consider Kelsey Murphy's experience.
When I started prescription painkillers, that's when I was at the age of 17.
It was a legitimate prescription you got.
That was a legitimate prescription that I got for strep throat.
By 19, she was hooked on prescription painkillers. At 22, she entered her first rehab. Now 27, she's a mom and warning others about the drug spiral she never thought she'd get caught in.
The prescription painkillers led to, I think I was 21 when I started using heroin.
Sadly, Kelsey's story is not unique. That's why Dr. Apicella says when an opioid is prescribed, it should be at the lowest possible dose and only after the patient is carefully screened.
You have to assess their behavioral issues if they have any. Depression, anxiety, borderline personality disorder.
He acknowledges some doctors still give in to patients who browbeat them into writing an opioid prescription. He's clear that has to stop. And yes, there's the issue of unintended consequences. That as we tighten opioid prescriptions, those already addicted move on to street drugs like heroin.
I think the first step is not creating the addict.
That's something the medical profession must take to heart. And then,
no matter where you attack this, unless the education improves, the prescription writing is tightened down, and the illicit drugs are limited, we're always going to have a problem.
It's a vicious cycle. Addicts get arrested, do time, get released, repeat.
You come in here for 6 months, you get out, never talked about the addiction. And then next thing you know, we've got you, the cycle has started and we've got life on the installment plan.
A few years ago, Albany County Sheriff Craig Apple decided there had to be a better way. Today, when addicts come in, he's got a special place for them.
We have a wing down here, a pod that you can actually come in here. You're in here, we got your undivided attention. We might as well try to, give you a productive life. So we have a SHARP wing, a Sheriff's Heroin Addiction Recovery Program.
What happens the first week, 2 weeks out, the first night?
Inmates who participate in SHARP are transferred to a special cell where they stay with peers, meet with counselors, and together work through the reasons for their addictions.
Recovery is difficult. I think it's far more difficult than just coming back and forth into jail. They work long hours, they get up.
Joan Wenstrom is a credentialed alcohol and substance abuse counselor, or KSAC, and has been working at the Albany County Jail for 18 years. She agrees with Sheriff Apple when it comes to addicts, jails should do more than just house them. They should help them.
I feel like, if someone wants help, we want to at least come alongside them to offer something that they can help, that can help change their life. We're not changing their lives. They have that power.
What Wenstrom and her team are doing is giving these inmates the tools to change their lives, a chance that many feel they would not have had otherwise.
Before I got into this program, I never actually sat and thought about why I use or why I do the things that I do. And ever since I came in here, I actually think about why I use, and it's helped me to, gain control and just hopefully be a better person.
It's really for people that want to make a commitment.
Wenstrom admits sometimes inmates participate for the wrong reasons, but says most genuinely want help. And according to Apple, the program is working. He says the recidivism rate of SHARP participants is just over 14%. Nationally, recidivism for drug offenses is around 77%.
The bottom line is you've got to treat the addicts when they're in the jail, otherwise they're going to get right back out and be addicts.
49-year-old Raymond Morales has been down that road. His addiction cost him his career as a barber, cost him his family. He's hoping the SHARP program can help make his current jail sentence his last.
I want to be able to have a good job, a job I'm comfortable with. I would love to be there with my daughter. Have my daughter in my life, a normal life.
If we can fix the problem in here and release a better person, everybody wins.
Jerry Gretzinger, News Channel 13.